there are numerous levels of the self, and usually the Sufis will go into 7, but there are 3 main ones. And then those main 3 have different shades and gradations. So the summary of book 1 is the nafs, or the self. And the first 4 discourses deal with the lower self. Nafs al-amara bisu, as it's called in the Quran. The self that commands, or you could say the compulsive self. It's this self that feels separate and isolated and egotistical and feels that if someone else gains, it's its loss, right? And actually this self at its core, it wants to be worshipped. It wants to be the center of attention. It wants to be God. The great symbol of this in the Quran is Fir'aun, right? Ana rabbukum al-a'la. I am your Lord Most High. It wants to be, the center of everything. Then the second level is called nafs al-lawama, which lawama gets into, it could mean the reproachful self or the blaming self or the accounting self. Allah swears by this self in the Quran. I swear by nafs al-lawama and I swear by Yawm al-Qiyamah. So it's tied to something like Yawm al-Qiyamah. They're tied even in the Quran. It's that self which has a certain dawning of consciousness and strives for good, but it's still pulled back and forth into the light, into the darkness. It's kind of trapped in this push and pull. Sometimes it will make progress, then it will fall. And so it blames itself then. And it has a positive side, but it has a negative side, right? It's positive to call ourselves to account and to have accountability and to be honest with ourselves and to see our shortcomings, because only through seeing them can we remedy them. But also, we know that you can get into the negative side of blame and self-loathing and despair and negative self-worth and things like that. So it's like that. And so this is the human condition, that we're pulled by these. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ called the greater jihad, the greater struggle. He was leaving the battlefield with his companions. He said, we're now leaving the lesser jihad for the greater jihad. They said, what is the greater jihad? When we just put our lives on the line, fighting for truth and for justice. And he said, the greater jihad is the battle which rages inside of each one of us. This is that. Jihad al-Akbar, the greater jihad. And, they give this analogy that there's a wolf of light and a wolf of dark fighting inside of us. And the one that wins is the one that you feed most. The more light you do, the stronger it gets. The stronger it gets. But the more darkness we do, the stronger that one gets. And so each one is fighting a battle. There is a war going on inside. No one is safe from. However, the more that you do light, the more that light self becomes predominant. And eventually one attains the nafs al-mutma'inna, the self at peace, the tranquil self. And that is when the war is won. It's a high station. This is the station of the prophets and the saints. And the Prophet spoke about this, sallallahu alayhi, when he said, everyone has a shaitan assigned to them. Yes, you have a shaitan assigned to you. Right? And it has shaitan himself, right? This shaitan assigned to you is a murid of shaitan, Iblis. He's giving him lessons. His tarbiyah is how to lead you astray. If you ever want to read a book about this, which is really profound and also might disturb you, what's it called? The Screw Tape Letters. Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis. It's really beautiful. C.S. Lewis is a really gifted writer. And the whole book is the discourse, the letters between Shaitan and his student Shaitan, who's assigned to a certain person. And so he writes back, he said, he said, unfortunately he started praying, what should I do? So but it gets into like the psychology of darkness. There's a lot of insights in that. Yeah, it'll change your life if you read it, You never want to go anywhere without saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Ya Latif. Screw Tape Letters. It's short and it's really a beautiful book. So we all have this, but you shouldn't necessarily think of Iblis as some horned character and some mythological thing, because the Prophet ﷺ, he said that shaitan flows through the veins of the children of Adam like blood. So it's like a force within us towards darkness, towards separation, towards egocentrism, towards arrogance, and towards envy. Arrogance and envy are the primary qualities of Iblis. That's how he fell. That's how he fell. Iblis was a great worshipper, abid. There's not a place on earth or heavens or earth that Iblis didn't worship Allah. But when Adam was created, when we were created, the Adamic beings, and Allah commanded him to bow, he couldn't take that because he wanted that place. It was arrogance and envy. May Allah free us of these traits. These traits are the biggest veils on the path. Nah. So the Prophet ﷺ said each one has a shaitan assigned to them, and they said beautifully, even you, Ya Rasulullah? He said, yes, but mine has become Muslim. Becoming Muslim, as we know, means to submit. Mine has surrendered. So it is possible to get to a point where that pull away from the light gives up. This is what it means to be a Muslim. To be in a perfect state of submission and surrender to the light of reality. Yeah. Being Muslim is not just one word. Being Muslim is not just something you're born into. It's a high reality. May we really be Muslims, inshallah. Ameen.